how do you prepare a swimming pool to hang a new liner in it? The process involved with hanging a new liner in a swimming pool is fairly straightforward. It starts with removing the old liner. So you pump down the water in the pool, you cut out, remove the old liner. You're careful not to damage anything as you're removing the old liner. For example, the liner will be hooked into the coping track. You want to lift the liner and gently pull it from the coping track. This is not a strength maneuver. This is a technique maneuver. You don't want to just be grabbing the liner and pulling on, because what's going to happen is the little tiny bead that retains the liner in the coping track can break off. Now you don't need a new liner. You need a new liner and a new coping system. So when you remove the old liner, be careful in doing so. You don't want to damage anything in the process. Take lots of pictures along the way. That way you won't forget the orientation of how something was installed before. For example, when you took the skimmer faceplate off, was there a gasket there or was there no gasket? And later you're going to be wondering. So take pictures of the process if this isn't something you do all the time, and that'll help you to remember when you're reinstalling the liner how you found everything. So after you've removed the old liner, the first thing that you need to do is you need to clean the pool. There's probably all sorts of dirt and debris and leaves and junk and stuff that's ended up in the pool. You need to either wash it down with water or sweep it down. Different people have different techniques on how they like to do things. Usually it involves a wet dry shop vac of some kind, getting around and manually vacuuming up the debris. Ultimately, you just need to get the pool clean. You don't need it to be 1000% clean at this stage because there's still additional steps happening. But one of the most important things when installing a new liner is that the pool has to be totally clean at some point. And this really is, it needs to be so clean you really can't even do it in one step. You need to clean the whole pool and then clean it again and then clean it a third time. Like, you really can't be too careful because something even the size of a pea looks like a baseball underneath of a vinyl liner. So you want to be very careful when you're installing a new liner to make sure that you get everything clean, and that's going to be a very important part. And that's why at this stage you're going to do a general clean, get out all the big debris. Maybe the floor is not clean enough to eat off of at this point, but you're looking pretty good. So next step, you need to tape the walls and the coping. So when you install a vinyl liner, you're going to do so under vacuum. The vinyl liner will go into the pool. You'll have a vacuum system set up to draw out all the air from behind the liner, and this sucks the liner into place such that you can manually manipulate it where you want it to be. That's how the process works. However, in order for the vacuum to work, you need to create somewhat of an environment where you can vacuum out the water or the air faster than it's leaking back in. You'll never make a perfect vacuum environment, but as long as you're using a large vacuum like a large shop vac or a vinyl liner vacuum, then you should be okay as long as you take the time to tape all of the wall joints together, as well as taping the joint where the coping meets the wall itself. So when you build a vinyl liner pool, the vast majority of them will have wall panel kits that butt up together. Where that joint meets, you'll probably have noticed when you removed the old liner, there was tape there, masking tape or duct tape. Somebody previously taped that joint. Typically speaking, you don't want to reuse tape. It's not that expensive. Just go ahead and peel off all the old stuff and tape new joints. I use duct tape pretty much across the board. It's the only thing I've ever used. Tape all of the joints in the walls with duct tape from top all the way to bottom, and then tape the joint where the coping sits on top of the pool wall, however that is. When you tape the coping joint, it's important to not be sloppy with your tape. You don't want to tape up so that the tape actually goes into the coping track itself, because that could actually cause the vinyl liner to slip out of the track in the future. You don't want to have the tape intruding into the track itself. You just want to seam the edge, marry the edge where the coping connects to the wall, such that you're not going to lose any air or any vacuum out through that spot. So that's the next stage in prepping to hang a vinyl liner, is you tape up all of the seams on the walls and the coping. So next is the gaskets. Before you can hang a new liner, you have a lot of gaskets that you need to put in place, and these gaskets are part of the flange and gasket system that makes the compression seal at every place there's an opening in the liner, like a return or a skimmer, something like that. So at this stage, the pool's been cleaned, it's been vacuumed, you've taped up everything, it's almost ready to go. Now you tape all of your gaskets in place. Now, I said tape, but actually some technicians have different techniques. Some people will take the gasket, put it in place, tape on all four sides, that's done. Some people will take that same gasket and will apply silicone. and we'll put it in place with silicone. Some people will use both silicone and duct tape to hold the gasket in place. What's happening here is that when you hang the liner, you don't want that gasket to move. That gasket needs to stay right where you put it. If that gasket moves or falls off or something like that and you don't notice, you can introduce a leak point into the liner. That's something that you really can't fix after the fact. So that's why we're being so careful to put the gaskets on where we want them, but in such a way that they're going to for sure not move. And that's the next step in the vinyl liner installation. The final step, again, we talked about this before, cleaning the pool. Well, we've already cleaned the pool. Yeah, but you've been walking around. I'm talking about clean the pool to the extent that you don't even get in it with your shoes on anymore. Walk around barefoot, such that if you could feel the tiniest pebble with your foot, that's got to go. And if you get out of the pool for any reason, because you got to go get a broom or whatever the case is, you don't just run back into the pool. You have to sit down and you have to wipe your feet off before you get back into the pool. That's how clean it needs to be. Well, what if it's windy and there's junk blowing into the pool, whatever? It's like, well, then why are you installing a liner today? This is the thing, is the pool needs to be explicitly clean, and it doesn't matter about the environmental conditions of the day. It's your job to make sure it gets there, because any debris that's left under that liner could potentially damage the liner, but at the very least is going to visually detract from the finished look. So that's everything that's involved with hanging a liner from beginning to end. And if you found this information helpful, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you can check out my website, swimmingpoolsteve.com.